What's up everybody, it's Sean here and I am back today to give you guys a review of the Nike Dunk Low Retro in this Waffle colorway. This Nike sportswear release is a brand new take on the classic Nike Dunk Low silhouette. They released here in Canada on February 17th and they retail for a price of $125 US or $165 here in Canada. And the official colorway for this shoe is wheat, coconut milk, sesame, and black. And as the nickname of this shoe suggests, this colorway is inspired by the classic breakfast comfort food, waffles. So I love when Nike does these fun, playful concepts, and usually for the Dunks, these concepts are reserved for Nike SB releases, but it's great to see a shoe like this executed through Nike's sportswear line, which is much more available and much more accessible than a Nike SB Dunk. So diving into the details of this shoe, on the toe box you can see the base layer of the sneaker is constructed out of this long-haired or shaggy suede, and just like any other Nike Dunk, we have these perforations all across the toe box. Surrounding the front toe cap, in contrast to the long-haired suede, we have this lightly tumbled leather instead, which is done in more of a lighter beige sort of tone. This same leather covers the eyelets of the sneaker, and then beneath this on the mid panel, we have that suede once again, but these side panels are actually debossed to give it that classic waffle pattern, and this is something I really loved. Overlaid on top of this though, in contrast to the suede once again, we have a very tumbled sail leather swoosh, which wraps towards the back end of the shoe. Next to this, we have more of that beige colored leather that we saw earlier on the toe box. This wraps around the bottom of the heel, and then we have another layer of the same leather covering the top of the heel, and we have Nike branding embroidered across in white. For the laces, this only comes with one lace option, and they're a flat style lace which felt pretty thick to the touch, and in person it almost had a bit of a waxed feeling to it. The lace tips are also colored, giving this golden yellow band across the middle. Underneath this, the tongue, instead of suede, leather, or nylon, this is actually a textile tongue which almost feels like canvas to the touch. On the very top, we have this tag with Nike branding in a mix of black and orange, and we have this subtle waffle pattern to it as well. The interior of the shoe is lightly padded, and it's covered in a golden brown colored mesh liner. The same material is visible on the insole as well, which is just your typical foam lined insole, nothing special here, but we have this rectangular tag stitched onto the heel, which again also has that same waffle pattern that we saw on the tongue tag. So the upper of these Dunks sit atop this solid rubber cupsole, and this is painted in that same golden brown sort of tone. And then as far as the outsole goes, we have a gum rubber outsole, which is pretty much the same tone as the midsole. And just like any other Nike Dunk, we have the circular pivot point on the forefoot, along with the Nike logo found right in the center. So that breaks down the look and the construction of this pair. And in terms of sizing, my foot measures as a true size 10, slightly on the wider side, and I'm usually true to size or a size 10 in most Nike sportswear Dunks. So getting these in my true size or a size 10, they fit me well, but I feel like if you have a really wide foot, you'd be better off going up a half size. For me, the length of the shoe left me about an index finger's width between the edge of the shoe and the top of my toe, which I thought was fine, but that's not to say that it was very spacious, it definitely was not. So I'd say that for this shoe, it was pretty much perfectly fit for me. If this shoe was any more snug, then I'd probably begin to feel a bit uncomfortable. But again, for most people, go true to size, you should be fine. If you like more of a roomy fit or you have a really wide foot, go up that half size. Moving on to the comfort, so these feel like any other Dunk underfoot, so it's going to feel pretty firm, flat, and low to the ground. There's not too much from a softness and stepping comfort perspective. However, the materials on the upper feel extremely soft straight out of the box, so this feels like a shoe that I've had in my collection for years now. It definitely doesn't feel like it's a brand new Dunk, which if you guys are familiar with those GR Dunks that use that synthetic leather on the upper, that feels very hard and stiff, and it feels like you have to really break those in. But this shoe doesn't need any breaking time whatsoever. Finally, in terms of the quality and craftsmanship, so if you couldn't tell by now, I think the materials on this shoe are very solid, especially for a general release, mass-produced Nike sportswear Dunk. So the suedes, like I mentioned earlier, had this long-haired, shaggy feel to it, and it feels very nice to me. And even the leather panels, this is genuine leather that has that tumbled finish to it pressed on top of it, which isn't amazing, but it is still genuine leather and a step above the synthetic leather that's commonly seen on typical Nike Dunks. So the materials I thought were definitely a step above average, and the build of the shoe is pretty solid as well. My pair was pretty free of any major flaws, the stitch job was good, there weren't any visible glue stains that I could see, so all in all this was a pretty well put together shoe, and it really feels like it's a bit more elevated, even though it's not a quick strike or some super limited release. So with all of that out of the way now, let me toss these on feet, I'll lace them up for you, and I'll show you guys how these look. Like I said from the start, I love this fun theming on this shoe, especially these mid panels where they actually deboss the waffle pattern to it. I really love that. And as far as the colorway of the shoe goes, it's definitely not going to be the most popular sneaker, but I think it's a bit more of an acquired taste. But I think with the tones used on this shoe, it still is a pretty decently wearable shoe. At the end of the day, this is all just different tones of brown, yellow, and beige. So it's not like this is just over the top and extremely loud. So I think if wearability is your concern, I honestly don't think there's that big of a concern. It comes down to your personal preference. Are you a fan of this waffle inspired design? Or there's just too many shoes on the market right now that makes this a pass for you? Either way, drop your comments down below and let's talk about it. And as usual, if you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet. You can follow me on Instagram at esco8, check me out on X at sean.go spelled out, and visit my website as well at seango.ca. So thanks so much for watching, hopefully you guys enjoy this review, and I'll catch you guys all in the next one.